it's been very, very turbulent today.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's changed. The last time I was up was about 40 minutes ago.
Yeah. It's not going to bother me at all.
Okay, good. As long as you're fine with it. You know, some people just absolutely hate it when it's like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna...
So there's no actual air traffic control yet?
No, sir.
You just broadcast on...
Exactly. Yeah, we just... on the front of the control stick is my push-to-talk button for the radio, and I am on the frequency for this airport.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to broadcast that we're on the roll here, and then as we fly into different areas, I'll be broadcasting in the area position reports, just so other aircraft don't come too close to us.
Okay.
All right, so I'm just going to show you the range of motion I'm going to need on this stick, so just trying not to block that.
Yeah. Don't touch the pedals?
No, yeah, I wouldn't bother yet. Once we get up in the air, away from the airport, then I'm going to show you how to take control of this thing, okay?
Okay.
And Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankees on the roll 13, going to be making a left turn out towards Wasaga Beach, climbing to 2,500.
All right, everything's good. Full power on the aircraft. I'm just steering with my feet right now.
Yeah, KZB, you guys can go.
That's the rudder you're controlling?
Exactly, the rudder and the little nose wheel. There we go. We're off the ground right now. I'm just waiting until we reach 65 knots. 65 knots has been achieved, and we are in a good climb. I'm going to now release our flaps. I don't need these anymore.
I wonder what height you have to stay above or below.
If we're flying over top of farmland area, we have to be 500 feet over the ground by law.
Yeah.
If we're over top of civilization, a minimum of 1,000 feet.
Okay.
However, the lower we fly, the more turbulent it's going to be.
Yeah.
So it comes with a cost. Plus it's a little more dangerous if you're low.
Sure.
In the event of an engine failure, we don't have much time to glide to a safe spot if we're too low.
Yeah.
So pilots tend to want to fly higher.
And your ceiling's 10,000 in this?
It's actually 13.5.
Okay.
However, I never go up there because you need to bring an oxygen bottle with you.
Okay.
And it's just a waste of fuel to get up that high.
Well, no, nothing really.
Exactly. Now, if I'm going somewhere far, like if I'm going to do a flight to Florida, yeah, I'll take advantage of those thin air up there. The engine performs better. You get a faster cruise speed.
What would your range be in this plane?
720 nautical miles.
Wow.
It's quite a ways, yeah. They're very efficient on fuel. This thing only burns 3.5 US gallons an hour at cruise. So that's pretty amazing.
And what speed's cruise?
Cruise in this aircraft is about 95 to 100.
Yeah. But you're going in a straight line.
Exactly. Yeah. Straight line, no climbing.
Yeah.
Approaching altitude.
I'm just going to continue climbing just a bit more. The higher we get, the smoother the air should get.
Why is it turbulent? Lots of thermals?
Yeah. Yeah, the sun is heating that ground quite a bit, and that hot air is radiating up and hitting the belly of the plane.
Yeah.
When we get over top of the water, it calms down a lot because the water absorbs that energy from the sun. Yeah. Yeah, this is what I was telling her on the phone. See how hazy it's getting out here now?
Yeah.
And I could tell by 4:30, forget about it.
But you're instrument rated, no?
I am actually not.
Huh?
I'm actually not. You don't need to be flying any of these type of aircraft.
Huh?
I never found a need to do it myself.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any aspirations to be an airline pilot. I enjoy this. I enjoy, getting people involved in flying.
Yeah.
This is like the meat and potatoes of flying.
Oh,
the rest of it's all adding on the cherries and whipped cream, right?
Yeah, it's just fluff.
Yeah.
So you could actually give somebody their pilot license?
I get them the license for these two-seater aircrafts, and this is actually in Canada called an advanced ultralight. It's not an ultralight, it's an advanced ultralight.
Oh, wow.
In the US, it's called an LSA. In the rest of the world, it's called an LSA, except for Canada.
What's an LSA?
Light sport aircraft.
Oh, okay.
Now, you were saying, was your friend from South Africa? Is that where?
Yeah.
A lot of LSAs are built in South Africa. In South Africa, it's pretty cool. Yeah. Now, right now, they're having major troubles with that, but some political turmoil, from what I understand, going on that's affecting some of these factories.
Oh, jeez. That's too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so see how hazy it is up here, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so what I'm going to do is...
What height we at?
We're at 2,500 feet above sea level. We started off at 700 feet because the elevation of the airport is 700. I'm just going to make a broadcast to the airport there, let them know that we're leaving their zone.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankee, departing your zone to the north, 2,500 feet, en route to Wasaga Beach.
Now I'm just going to switch frequencies to the one that everybody uses for flying in this area.
You got them all memorized?
I do. Oh yeah, I've been in this airspace for many, many years, so I know them. All right, man, everything's looking awesome on this instrument cluster. I got the plane pretty much trimmed, so it wants to fly level.
Yeah.
Feeling good, feeling good. All right, so I can show you the way all pilots start training. In the case of, since you're on the left seat, you're gonna need to put your left hand on that control stick. Just a gentle, don't squeeze it, just a gentle. Your right hand needs to be eventually available for all this other stuff, right?
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk through a turn with you. So
okay.
Just put your hand on there and I want you to feel how small of the movements I'm making on this stick are.
Okay.
I'm just looking for other traffic, I don't see any other planes. And I'm gonna turn the plane to the right. So I'm just gonna take this stick, pull the stick just gently like this. Just want you to feel the motions on this. So notice how the plane is getting steeper and steeper in a bank.
Yeah.
I want to stop it, so I just tug it back. But you can hold it, don't worry. I want you to kind of feel what I'm doing, so whenever you go to do it, you don't overreact on it. Now I'm going to do a left turn. It's just a little pull like that.
So those are the flaps moving now?
Those are the ailerons right on the wing out there. See them right back there?
Oh, yeah.
I'm wiggling it.
Yeah, that's crazy how little they move.
That's right. Now, the slower we go, the more deflection you get. Now, since we're cruising along pretty decently right now at 82 knots or so, we only have to make micro movements on this control stick to turn it. See, there's a right.
And that just comes with experience, knowing how fast you're going.
Exactly, right? Well, you get the feel of if the stick is hard,
then you know you need more
That's
muscle.
right.
Okay.
More muscle, but smaller movement. And when you're going really slow, the stick is spongy.
Way light.
Yeah.
Because there's no air flowing.
That's right. And so those are the two movements. We got a left roll, a right roll, and that's how we steer the aircraft. The next thing we can do is climb. So we're going to take this stick and just pull towards our belly. You'll notice the nose coming up. As the nose is pointing up, you'll notice that the altimeter is in a climb.
Yeah.
Another thing that happens is our airspeed starts slowing down.
Yeah.
So it's at a speed I don't like. I don't want to go any slower than 60, so I'm going to add power. I'm adding power while we're climbing. Yeah.
Otherwise you'll stall.
Exactly. If we go too much in this angle of attack up like this without adding power, that airspeed will drop to a point of a stall.
Yeah.
So that's why a pilot's always got to watch the most important instrument, which is the airspeed indicator. So there we climb.
Can you just feel it as well?
In time you feel it, yeah. Yeah, you feel it. Now every plane is different, but once you learn your plane, yeah, like you get to know. I can fly this thing without looking at these at all. But when I first bought the plane, I was already a pilot.
It took you a while to get used to it.
I had to concentrate on it for a bit, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do a bit of a right turn here, just along this coastline, and then I'm going to put the nose downwards and let you feel what it's like for that small motion down. Once we do that, then I'll level it off and then turn it over to you. So I'm going to take the nose now. We're going to go in descent, so we're just going to take that stick and a little push forward. That's all it takes. You see
we're
we're
going to start accelerating?
Yeah. Now you can see that our airspeed's increasing. Our RPM is starting to climb, so I'm going to back off the RPM because I don't want to redline the engine.
Sure.
I'm backing off RPM, and we're in a decent descent now. We're at 93 knots going down. Our altimeter's confirming it. We can see it. And you can even hear the wind whistling by the plane.
Yeah.
So there's 2,500 feet. I'm just going to level off right here. Add power again for cruising. And then I'm going to say, why don't you try doing this? I'll remove my hand from the stick and just gently play around with it. Just try not to, that's a thermal. That wasn't you. All right, so you have control of the plane. My hand is close by, so don't worry about that. Feel free to move it around in any direction you like.
So what do you do if you want to fly straight? You pick something way in the distance?
That's the easy way of doing it, yeah?
Leaving altitude.
Yeah, if you pick something too close, it tends to make you overcorrect.
Yeah. We've What's below us here now? What area?
This is Woodland Beach.
Okay.
Very nice. So the three instruments I use mostly for teaching people how to fly is, actually no, this one here, airspeed is number one.
Okay.
Most important instrument in the whole plane. Number two is this guy, and number three is this guy. This guy tells us what the plane angle is, what's happening if we're climbing or descending and at what rate.
Okay.
So when it's on the zero, we're level. Right now you're in a small descent, just a small one, 200 feet per minute. You can get
Wasaga Beach area.
I got to broadcast to him.
Yeah, Eugene, Juliet, Kilo Yankee, just over Woodland Beach, 2,200 feet, flying northeastbound.
Okay, 2,700 westbound, so northeast.
So Bill, everyone's on above sea level.
Correct.
Okay.
Traffic in the Creemore area, be advised, line flight 3 medevac in Augusta 139, presently 4 miles to the southwest, 2,500 feet, we're northeastbound to Midland. Line flight 3 medevac in Creemore.
So the way it works is it's the pilot's responsibility before taking off from their airport to calibrate their altimeter.
Yeah.
The altimeter changes based on the outside barometric pressure. So throughout the day it's changing constantly, especially if a storm cell is moving in.
Yeah.
So if we didn't calibrate this before we took off and it thought we were at 400 feet when we were on the ground, we'd be off by a few hundred feet, right? So every time we lift off, I'll calibrate that thing. And if I'm up in the air for a long period of time, I'll recalibrate it. And the way you recalibrate it is I would call an airport, like there's one right there in Midland.
Yeah.
I would call the guy who's sitting at the desk there. He would give me the current barometric pressure reading. And I would punch it into that right there.
And it would
calibrate the instrument.
Okay.
So they call that calibrating your altimeter to station pressure.
And it's accurate.
It's pretty darn accurate, yeah.
So nobody has you on radar? They can tell you
no,
Collingwood traffic, line flight 3 medevac.
So Ontario, majority of Ontario is uncontrolled airspace.
And that's Barrie over there?
That is Midland.
2,500
Okay.
feet northeastbound.
Yeah, there's Midland, that's Pinnetanguishene over there. We're in a descent still. So just pull back on the stick just a bit. There you go. I just don't want to get too low because it's going to get really rough then.
Westbound on the water side.
Yeah, so if you look at a map of Ontario, anything south of Newmarket to about Niagara Falls is a big circle of controlled airspace. But down near London and Guelph and that way is not.
Yeah.
So all of this area north in Ontario is uncontrolled. So we don't have to file flight plans. We can just get up and go flying. Do whatever we want. We just have to, respect the laws of the air.
Sure. What little town is that?
That is La Fontaine. Yeah, that's a little town. So just watch that we don't get too low. Just pull back on that stick.
Are we in a descent?
Yeah. Because in this area, ground elevation's about 8 to 1,000 feet, so we're only about 800 feet from the ground right now. How's it feeling so far on that stick? It's touchy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That was the wind pushing us around?
Yeah. We'll have winds and thermals beating us up.
Like, there's nothing you can do about that?
Just fight back or climb higher.
Oh, really?
That's it, yeah.
That's the secret?
That's right. If it gets too bumpy down here, I'll go up to 3,000, 4,000 feet.
Yeah.
And then generally it'll calm down, but it also gets a lot hazier and your visibility gets worse on a humid day like today.
So you constantly looking around for other planes?
Always, yeah.
So if they're approaching from behind, it's like a boat, they have to...
Exact same rules as boating.
Yeah.
Yep. Nautical rules, yep. For the most part, what pilots do is we just give position reports speak to nobody, but hope somebody hears you.
Sure.
So in the case of once we get over top of a recognizable landmark like Penetangwisheen Bay, I'm going to make a radio announcement to anybody who might be flying around here to let them know we're here so they avoid us.
Yeah. Or at least they're looking out for you.
That's right. So far, we haven't heard anybody since Wasaga Beach. I don't think there's somebody up here, but you never know. There's a good thermal.
Are we dropping again?
No, we're kind of level at 1,800 feet. So right around here, I'm just going to make a radio announcement.
Midland area traffic, SportStar, India Juliet Kilo Yankee at 1,800 feet above Penetang Bay, flying northeastbound.
Wasaga Beach area traffic, Skydive 13200, about 3 miles north of Edenvale Aerodrom, going to continue the climb to the mouth of the river and the main beach from Wasaga traffic.
Yeah, this is the town of Penetangwisheen.
Is that the jail up there?
It is actually right over there. See where you have some subtle green roofs and then some red buildings?
Yeah.
That's the jail there.
Okay. I just know we supplied material on that job.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I never actually came to it, but I knew it.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive structure, that's for sure. They did it with the pod style buildings, right?
Yeah. That's how they build prisons in the United States.
Yeah.
We don't build that many in Canada.
No. I guess part of the theory of that is if you have a riot, they can only control one of those, right?
Oh, really?
So I heard, right? But I don't know. And whenever they lock down, the prisoners could never take control of all of them.
Oh, okay. That's the wind, huh?
Yeah, you're going to be fighting some winds. The winds are going to be increasing and increasing as we're up here because they did say that the weather is not going to be that great later in the day.
Could you put floats on this plane? Land on the water or not really?
I've seen and heard of somebody doing it with this model.
Yeah.
I personally would not do it because the wings end up being too close to the water and I'm not comfortable with that.
Oh, you mean you'll wreck the plane quickly?
You could. Well, you could, right? If you had even a 2-foot wave, it would come over the wing.
Oh, so you want a plane with a high wing?
Exactly. Ideally, yeah. So why don't you try turning the plane? Let's go east. We'll go that way.
Okay. So the ailerons are hard, so
yeah,
that means
you just do it. Just you can move it around. Don't be afraid to move it around. Just know the harder you push, the steeper the bank is going to be.
Yeah.
You're in a descent again right there. So just pull back a little bit. Yeah, the winds are getting pretty crazy. We could climb up too, it'll get smoother for us.
Traffic in the Huronia area, be advised, Life Flight 3 medevac in Augusta 139. 5 miles to the southwest, 2,000 feet inbound for the Midland Hospital. Life Flight 3 medevac in Huronia.
Wow.
That's a helicopter?
Yep.
Orange?
Yep.
So we got to get out of its way?
Well, no, they're going that way. They're going to be going to Midland Hospital. So we're going to have to just keep rising up. You're still in a descent. Don't be afraid to pull back on the stick like this, and we'll just let it climb for a bit.
Okay.
Maybe 1 or 2 minutes. So this is the mental institution down here. It's hard to see, but
yeah.
And we're just about to cross over the jail.
you're going into controlled airspace, then you have to have a flight plan file.
Not necessarily. You can just contact them via radio before you must contact the airspace controller before entering their airspace. Then they will give you specific instructions.
Okay.
So that's the way it works. Now they prefer you to file flight plans, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
It all depends on what the purpose of your flight is.
Life flight 3,
Okay.
medevac 1 mile to the east to 1,800 feet northeastbound Midland. Life flight 3 medevac over Huronia.
Seymour is still too far away.
Calling traffic.
He's close to us. I am looking for him right now.
West of the field at 2,500 feet. Proceeding
So he's going to be somewhere in that pocket of air over here.
Yeah.
But he's en route to there.
Will be out of his way by then.
That's the plan. I'm looking for him. They're very hard to see other aircraft.
How far away can you see? What depends on the visibility?
Yeah, it really depends on the visibility, type of aircraft, our altitude.
Yeah.
Our altitude versus his altitude, it gets tricky. Now, in 26 years, I've never had an incident, so that's good. I'll keep that going.
What would you say an incident is? How
Well,
close?
a near miss. I've never been that close to it. There he is. I got him.
He's right. Oh yeah, he's low, huh?
Yeah.
Because those things move pretty good, huh?
Yeah, well, you'll be probably doing around the same speed. Well, maybe a bit faster.
Yeah.
Might be doing 100 knots.
I've seen them come over my house quite low when I lived in Newmarket.
Yeah.
Because what are they? They cormorants?
I'm not sure what they're using right now.
Yeah, they loud
It
as
could
hell,
be.
huh? They're loud as hell.
Oh, very loud.
Yeah. So you know the area so well, you know where you are now? You don't like...
I do. Yeah.
You would, yeah.
When in doubt, this has full GPS map guidance
That'll
system,
get you back.
autopilot, it's got everything, right?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
It's got an autopilot?
Oh, yes.
No kidding.
Yeah. No, this thing has all the bells and whistles. There we go with that.
That's why you like it?
Well, it's nice for personal use too. So right now our airspeed's getting a little bit slow. We're just going to push the nose forward just a bit. Right there. We're going to pick up some airspeed. There we go. Nice. Yeah, see with this, you can see all of North America, every airport.
That is cool.
You can go wherever you want.
Yeah. If you're going for a long flight, you just put on autopilot or do you stay on the stick?
I prefer the stick, but you know, it depends. If you start early in the morning, you want to finish your coffee, then yeah, autopilot. Like I take this once a year to Florida. There's a big airplane expo that they have there. It's called Sun and Fun. Oshkosh is in
Midwest.
yeah, near Chicago. But anyways, the one in Florida, I take it to. And yeah, if you're leaving at 5:30 a.m. and you want to have your coffee and you and your buddy are autopilot.
How many hours down there?
It's around a 9-hour flight.
You got a refuel on the way?
Yeah, got to refuel in 7 hours, but I like to stop every 3 hours or so, go to the bathroom, you know, pull into a restaurant somewhere, have breakfast, stuff like that, right?
Okay.
You want to make it like a road trip, but in the plane, right?
Sure.
It's no fun if you just do it as a marathon. I'm too old for that stuff. I want to enjoy my time. When I was 20, I would have done it one shot.
Yeah, really?
I think I would have done stupid stuff like that then. Yeah.
We 2,600.
Yep. 2,600 feet above sea level.
So about
So we're
1,800.
yeah, about that. Yeah. Yeah, look how soupy the sky is out here, huh?
The weather's gonna get crappy.
Yeah, there's a big storm cell over top of the Great Lakes now, and it's moving this way.
Yeah.
They're calling for rain by 5, and then thunderstorms, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like beautiful and calm now, huh?
Yeah, but you can tell it's building, like those type of clouds, and the fact that the humidity's high, that's a storm coming for sure. And the fact that the wind is coming out of the southeast tells a pilot everything. When it's coming, blowing that way, it's coming. It's been sucked into the cell. The cell's rotating in a counterclockwise direction.
Oh, that's why you said the wind kept changing direction.
Yeah. Yeah, see now it's fairly stable going this way, so I know that the top of the storm is somewhere
That direction.
yeah, so the body of the storm is that way, coming this way.
Yeah. Could I cut over the water? Or?
Yeah, you can. You'll notice how much smoother it is up here at 2,600 feet, right?
Yeah.
Now I can show you now what the pedals do. So I'm just going to put this screen back to where it used to be.
4 miles north of Edenvale, 1 mile south of town, 1 mile east of the white water tower, jumpers away.
Alright, so
Pedals on the tail.
yeah, the pedals are the rudder on the back. So I want you to see how they work.
Okay.
So we're going to take our, take your left or right foot, just push one of them down and see what happens with the nose of the aircraft. See that?
Leaving
Yeah.
altitude.
What you did is you took the tail and swung it out to the right.
Altitude.
Yeah.
And if you do the other way, you'll feel it swing the tail that way. There you go. Now, in theory, I would never do this, but a person could deliberately put their plane into what they call a flat spin by
Pushing
maybe
the both down.
killing the power
Yeah.
and jamming it full one way, and you can get the tail to just spin,
Yeah.
and then your plane's in a spin. Now, I would never even try to do that because they would almost be a guaranteed killer that you would not get out of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very tough to get out of something going on like that. Because it's not catching the air at all. You're just a falling rock.
Yeah.
We do train for teaching people how to survive stalls and stuff like that. Talk you through how to get out of a spiral dive. But that thing is a totally different monster altogether.
Yeah. Are we picking up speed now?
I think we're going sort of into the wind a bit. The wind's, I feel it coming from that way. So the RPM.
Will it push you around?
What's that?
The wind will push you around?
Oh yeah.
Leaving altitude.
Yeah, it'll change the RPM.
What's the altitude warning?
It's not a warning. It's because I put a bug there.
Oh, she just told us.
Yeah. So I can set her to 2,600. It's just to keep the pilot honest.
Oh, okay.
So whenever you leave her by 100 feet, she'll remind
Why,
you.
you start daydreaming when you fly?
Not
You don't.
quite, but for training,
Yeah, it's
you'd
not
be,
bad.
you'd be surprised how hard it
Because
is.
I'm sort of like not falling asleep, but it's like, oh, this is easy.
Leaving altitude.
I mean, I know we're not doing anything technical.
Exactly. But when we get into, like, say, training, right?
Yeah.
The first hour is spent really flying the plane straight and level at a certain altitude.
Just trying to feel comfortable.
That's right. And trying to master holding the plane level.
Yeah.
So right now we've even climbed up another 100 feet since we started talking about it. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
trickier than you think, right?
Yeah, well, you don't, there's no point of reference.
That's right. It's just the feel of where the dash should be as opposed to the horizon.
Oh, that comes with experience. I'm sure.
Exactly. Time in the seat. So there's your level right there. Now you're at level.
Yeah, you're right, it's tougher than meets dying.
Yep.
So how many pilots a year do you train?
About 15.
Yeah.
15 is just a single operation with myself.
Yeah.
15 to 20, it all depends, right?
That'll just...
Approaching altitude.
Because it's your plane, you don't rent it out.
I do for anybody who's trained and a student, they can come back and rent it. Yeah, for sure.
And how much is that an hour?
140 an hour. That's with fuel.
That's not crazy, yeah?
No,
What kind of gas does this run on? Does it run avgas or?
you can run both. Yeah, you can run avgas or you can run good quality, no ethanol, high test gasoline from like say Shell.
Yeah?
That's what I'm running in right now because the engine seems to like it better.
Yeah.
Once you start using leaded fuel, your oil changes become more frequent.
Yeah. I run that in my motorcycle.
altitude.
Don't run anyone.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the good stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no ethanol is the key, because
Yeah.
the ethanol's junk, right?
Yeah, it's garbage. So what's the toughest part of flying, do you think? Just all the theory that you have to learn?
It really depends on the person, right? Like some people have a real hard time with landing. Other people are great at it and they have a hard time with takeoff. Other people have a hard time with the theory. You're right. It all depends on what type of person you are.
Yeah.
I find most people, the toughest thing with it is getting them confident. Try to get rid of the nerves, because the nerves really hinder your training.
Yeah. And that's Wasaga? That's the non-Wasaga coming up? Okay. And you could do aerobatics in this plane, Bill?
Not legally, no.
Huh?
No. No, for that you're supposed to have a special endorsement on your license.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
To the mouth of the river, we're going to be descending towards Edenvale slowly.
A very, very special insurance policy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's about $600 an hour to do that.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. There's very few guys. I think there's like 3 guys in Canada, well, in Ontario that do it. Just because insurance policies are so expensive for that stuff. So right now we're in quite a bit of a descent. That's why it started bumping around so much. We were descending at a fast speed, going through some rough air.
Okay.
I'm just backing the throttle off a bit. So you from Wasaga Beach?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we just moved up here in June.
Nice. You liking it?
Yeah, I love it.
Beach lifestyle, huh?
Oh, it's a different pace of life, yeah. People are a lot nicer.
And you came up from Newmarket?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a Bradford boy myself, just north of Newmarket, right?
Yeah. Are you in Barrie?
What's that?
You live in Barrie now?
Cookstown, actually.
Okay.
I had to escape Bradford. It was getting too big for my liking. I wanted some peace and quiet.
Really? It's really grown.
Yeah. Hey, you're doing pretty good on this thing. Fighting some winds. So the one thing we do have to avoid is they're doing skydiving drops inland over there. So we want to avoid going there, but if you stay, yeah, if you stay over the coast, you'll be fine.
Okay. And how do you know that?
Well, because a pilot has to check all what we call NOTAMs, Notice to Airmen, before every day, and there's one active all summer over here for that park, Klondike Park.
Okay.
And that's where they're doing, and plus they're 3 hangars away from me.
Where's Klondike Park?
It is just off in this direction. It's hard to see right now because we're so low.
Okay.
Oh, there's a lot of people at the beach today.
Long weekend.
Yep.
No locals there.
Yeah.
Can it be tough to see skydivers?
It's usually tough to see them, but they'll be dropping directly over that park.
What altitude would they be coming from?
11,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they got a good little business there. They do a lot of drops a day.
Yeah?
Yep.
No, you can't get life insurance if you skydive.
I didn't know that. I didn't look it up.
Yeah.
Alright, some birds down here. That's another problem when we get really low, right? There's a lot of bird activity.
Oh, yeah?
Wow, feel that wind?
Yeah. Yeah, we're really gonna push it around.
Yep. So if we want to fight that, we can just keep climbing up again.
Yeah. And you like Tucson?
Yeah, it's not bad. Very quiet community.
Yeah.
serves its purpose for me to go home, go to sleep, not have to be stuck in traffic for hours. I like it. There's a bird right in front of us. Let's do a turn to the right. I just want to get it. Don't want to hit him. Sorry. Okay, you can take control.
Why, you damage the glass or the prop?
If he damages the prop, we have to emergency land down here on the beach, and that sucks.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Costs too much to get it off the off the beach?
Well, hope we survive.
Oh, okay.
That's the key, right? I don't want to have to do an emergency landing. Because it's tough. The beach is loaded, right? There's nowhere to land without hitting people. We would have to land out in the water somewhere, and that would not be pleasant. I haven't had to do it in 26 years, and I'm going to keep it that way.
I live just by that water tower.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's where like the big bluffs are there.
Yeah.
Nice. Wasaga ripping right through there.
Yeah. It's right in my backyard.
Nice. Now, whenever it's salmon season, do they come all the way up here?
My neighbor said he can catch salmon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because I used to fish that down near Alliston, close to Angus.
Yeah.
The Wasaga there, and there was a lot of salmon.
Yeah. Actually, one of my good friends, he's a real avid fisherman. He gets up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, goes out off Collingwood.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess Collingwood's over there, but he catches just about every time he's out. We're descending, why are we picking up speed?
You're in a bit of a descent. And the wind is really getting quite violent.
Pushing us?
Yeah, it's coming, it's kind of switched now. It's coming out of that direction.
What about if you go up to Meaford? There's a military thing there. You're not allowed to fly over there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to avoid their airspace.
The tank range.
Yep.
So
Borden as well.
yeah. Lots of planes take off out of there.
No, they tore up the runways.
But you're just not allowed to fly over it.
That's right.
Okay.
So right now we're going to have to alter course because we're heading for Collingwood Airport, and we can't get too close to their airport unless I broadcast intentions to land.
Okay.
So we can turn either this way or we can go inland. It's up to you. So right now you're in a descent on the turn. Just pull back toward. There you go.
That thing's nimble, huh?
Oh yeah.
You can use the rudder to, like if the wind's pushing you, you can use the rudder to...
Exactly, that's what we use the rudder for. So say we were having to fly, we wanted to fly from here to say Aurelia.
Yeah.
So Klondike Park is that big opening in the middle of the forest there.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have to avoid that.
So that's where the parachute is? Oh, I can see the runway now.
Yeah. Now we still have time. We don't have to go back to the airport yet.
Okay.
But we just can't go over that park either.
Okay.
Yeah, so say we want to keep flying in this direction.
Yeah.
And you notice that the plane is drifting.
Yeah.
What we would do is apply some right rudder, like this.
Yeah.
That way we're steering the nose into the wind. We call this crabbing, and we'll still hold the same ground track.
Yeah.
But the plane is crooked.
Yeah.
Your compass will be incorrect. But that's it. All that matters is that you are flying towards where you want to go.
Okay.
So that's what we use the rudders for, is justifying that tail. So your house must be right here, huh?
Well, you see the river?
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, you can't see it. I didn't realize. Yeah, too many trees. right over here.
Oh, cool.
I can't really see it. Turn too sharp.
Yeah.
On a hot day, you're really roasting, yeah?
Well, the closer to the ground you are, yes.
Yeah.
Because it's hot near the ground. The higher you go, it cools down by 2 degrees every 1,000 feet.
Okay.
Now, you could point that at your face, that little vent. That's what I'm doing. I keep adjusting mine around, right? Yeah. It helps.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, you know, the positive thing about having a solid bubble canopy is it's nice and quiet.
Oh yeah, it's lovely.
But you get hot.
Yeah. Did you come to the air show here on Canada Day?
I was actually at Edenvale when it was happening.
Okay.
It was a low ceiling day, really gray, and
Yeah. When that Canadian F-18 came over,
yeah.
and I mean, he came along and he dropped the hammer like afterburners on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know the day before that I was doing training with one of my students and he buzzed right towards us.
Oh, really?
It scared the heck out of my student. Because all we see is this little dot and all of a sudden it's huge and it right beside us. And then
He could see you on his radar?
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it scares you.
Yeah.
Especially whenever you feel what they call the wake turbulence coming off the plane when he passes you.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool to share the airspace with those guys.
Yeah.
They're getting the hang of this thing.
Not bad.
So I like to say 50% of flight training is learning how to fly the plane. The other 50% is learning all your regulations, your laws, navigation, weather, all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? So usually I get to where somebody can take the plane off, land it, understand the basics of entering into the traffic pattern in 10 hours. The
Really?
rest of it, yeah, the rest of the training, we're just honing that skill, perfecting your landings, perfecting your takeoffs, and by osmosis, you're starting to learn how to communicate on the radio.
Just
Little
as you
thing.
have.
That's right, yeah.
So it's a lot easier to land this than a tail dragger?
It's different. Yeah, I don't like to use the term easier because I learned how to fly on a tail dragger.
Yeah.
So for me,
You don't think it's bad?
it wasn't bad, but that's because I learned that
Oh,
way.
yeah.
So it all depends on how you learn. But yes, they do say these are much more forgiving
Yeah.
on landing. You don't have to be that perfect when you land this. The other one, yeah, it demands perfection. If you do it wrong, you go into a ground loop, and it sucks.
Yeah.
That's why tail dragger on its own is a separate endorsement. So you
really?
get your license and then you get like a tail dragger stamp.
Okay.
So you have to put in quite a few hours in tail dragger to be...
Because every different plane you fly, you got to get an endorsement, don't you?
Not necessarily. You should be checked out in a different type of plane, but that's not an endorsement. No, it's a little different. So, say you want to try flying, I don't know, a Cessna.
Yeah.
Well, you want to do 2 hours with an instructor in a Cessna that they can check you out in it. Now you're checked out for Cessna. It's not endorsed, it's checked out. But tail dragger, once you're checked out in the tail dragger, you can now fly any tail dragger, but with the same rules of being checked out in that type.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through full training on a different one because it has a tail wheel.
Okay.
It gets quite complicated, actually.
Now the wind's pushing our tail?
Yeah, it's kind of like this. Yeah, it's going like this
But I have
way.
to give it some right rudder?
Which, it depends on where you're trying to get to.
No, I just want to go straight, like if I'm lined up on that road.
Yeah, so I'd give it some right rudder. So add some right rudder, just put, that's it. And you just got to pick how much you need.
Yeah. It's very sensitive.
Yeah, quite. Now the rudder becomes extremely important when it comes to landing and taking off because
That's how you're controlling it.
that's right. We got to control the nose of the aircraft to be straight when those wheels touch the runway.
Otherwise you're screwed.
Yeah, well, you could side load. You could flip it over.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So you can't do anything crazy on the landing.
exactly.
You got to come in real smooth.
Well, you want to be relatively straight by the time the wheels touch the ground. That's your goal.
Yeah.
You could be sideways all the way down until the last minute. You got to straighten it out.
If the wind's pushing you around.
Either way, yeah. Either way.
And you only have one runway over there?
Edenvale actually technically has 6 runways. One runway is 2 because there's 2 directions per runway.
Okay, yeah.
So they have 2 paved runways, meaning there's 4 runways,
Yeah.
different directions, and then they have a grass runway there as well.
Okay.
Approaching altitude.
So she's only talking to us because we're getting close to the altitude that's set on that thing.
Okay. And you think this is a luxury to have all these in?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it is.
There's so many safety features in this thing that do the pilot's job for them or help them do their job.
Yeah.
Like just the fact that it has engine monitoring system. If we had an oil pressure or fuel low, it will tell us.
Throw you a warning quick.
Yeah, it'll tell us right away in our ears. If it was analog, you got to check it yourself. You're still supposed to check it, and I always do.
Yeah.
But it's so nice to have a warning if
Because you won't even feel it?
Well, you wouldn't necessarily feel like a warm engine if it's overheating.
Okay.
You know, this will tell you, caution,
You got to look at the
engine
gauge.
temperature.
Yeah.
And you would fly accordingly. Like if our engine was getting high, it might throttle back a little bit.
Yeah.
Let it cruise, cool down, and then maybe face it.
It's
into
liquid
the
cooled?
wind. This is liquid cooled assist, yes.
Okay.
So meaning the cylinders are liquid cooled, but the block is not.
Okay.
2600.
So it does some air cooling and liquid cooling.
Runway 13, Collingwood. Collingwood Unicom, India Kilo Lima requesting radio check, please.
What little lake is that?
That is Ore Lake.
Kilo Charlie Golf,
Okay.
Victor Quebec Victor here, you're 5x5 here.
Kilo Lima, thanks so much.
It's weird, the camera just cut out just now. I think it's overheating. Yep.
Yeah, too hot?
That one's working in the back. Yeah, I just felt it. It's hot. So we're actually going to have to start steering back towards Edenvale.
Okay, come straight in for 13 Collingwood.
So what we're going to do here is, I'm just trying to think the best way we're going to enter into the traffic pattern.
Victor Golf Uniform.
We're going to go in this direction for a little bit.
Okay. Downwind 413.
Okay, straight in for downwind 13 Collingwood. We'll be at 2500 on the north side. South side. Just cruising around. We'll keep an eye out for you.
Are you worried about
We're descending to 24.
About the other traffic?
are you worried about the wind, which direction it is? Do you go over the field first to look at the sock?
I'm actually not worried about it at the moment because what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch onto their frequency. I'm going to listen to what other pilots are doing.
Okay.
If they're using runway 13, which I'm pretty sure they are,
That's the approach you'll take.
that's the approach we'll take. The other option I have is that airport has an automatic weather observation system, which has a broadcast frequency, and it will tell us what the winds are doing.
Okay.
So we don't have to get that close to approach and look at the sock.
Yeah.
That being the case, I'm going to switch to their frequency now, start listening to hear if we hear anybody flying there. And I'm being ready to listen to that weather observation system. Right now the wind is coming from that direction.
Yeah.
A few hundred feet below us, it's coming from that direction. So, and then below that,
one rolling on 13.
yeah, so he's on 13. I know exactly what runway we're going to want to take is runway 13 and how to approach it. So that's partially because of what's going on with the weather changing.
Yeah.
They're changing directions constantly, which makes it that much more difficult to fly.
Yeah. And if you get a PPL, how many years is it valid for?
The PPL, it's not so much years, you just have to keep it current.
So you gotta keep flying?
That's right.
X amount of hours?
That's right.
Okay.
Now, the type of license that I do is below the PPL.
Yeah.
So it's actually good for life. You don't have to keep it as current. You just can't have a medical issue, like a serious medical issue.
Yeah.
That would invalidate your license.
We're on the 13, making a left turn towards the main beach.
All right, so he's going to be coming sort of up across our airspace, but that way towards the beach. We're going to do a right turn here over this road and start facing in that direction. Still very hard to see the airport right now. Right around this heading is good, right where you're at right now. Yeah, it's so much smoother up high here.
Yeah.
So this type of license being in the ultralight class for these two-seaters like this,
Yeah.
it only requires 10 hours of training. However, I've never seen anybody do it in 10 hours. I average my students at 25 hours.
Yeah.
So that's roughly $4,500.
That's not too bad.
And you could fly one of these type of aircraft, anything in the ultralight category, basic or advanced, anywhere in Canada, daylight hours with visibility. So you can't fly IFR. Even if you had an IFR license, you're not allowed to fly IFR in an ultralight or advanced ultralight.
Oh, wow.
In Canada.
Yeah? What about the States?
In the States, it's a little bit different. These are classified as light sport aircraft, and depending on the equipment the airplane has, will maybe allow you to do different things.
Yeah.
Like fly at night in the States if you have the proper license. Alright, so I'm going to make an announcement to the airspace there.
Edenvale traffic, SportStar, India, Juliet, Kilo Yankee is 5 miles east of the field, 2,600, descending to circuit height to join us straight in downwind, 13.
Juliet, Kilo Yankee, Cadet 1, what was your position, sorry?
You can see that I am 5 miles east of the field. There should be no conflict if you're heading towards the beach.
Yep, I'm going towards the small swamp, and I'll be working at that area up. There's some clouds along the beach.
All right, yeah, we should be good. Thanks.
He's taking off right now?
Yeah, he's going to be somewhere over here, and he's going directly north. Impossible to see. But he said he's coming up on the little swamp, which I'm assuming is that little one up there.
Okay, so he's gone by us.
Yeah. So what we have to do now is we have to enter the traffic pattern, or also known as the circuit.
Okay.
To do that, we can't just go in and land. We have to enter, I'll show you kind of what it looks like. That's what the circuit looks like. The runway we're going to be landing on is going to be in that direction. It's this one right here.
Yeah.
We're going to be landing this way. So we have to come, we're out here.
Yeah.
We have to come here, descend down to 1,700 feet, and then fly this pattern here, parallel to the runway. Turn what we call left base, then final. So there's the airport right there. We can start following sort of this little road here.
Yeah.
And we can begin our descent. We eventually got to get down to 1,700 feet.
When you enter the pattern, you got to be at 17.
Exactly.
And is there a speed restriction?
Not a speed restriction, no.
Just altitude.
Altitude.
And if everyone's doing that, then everyone knows where everyone is.
Exactly. So that's why this procedure is all over the world the same thing.
Uncontrolled airspace.
Uncontrolled airspace, yeah. So the theory is, at no point should you be able to hit somebody from the side, because everybody's flying the same highway, right? So anybody else could be converging right next to us, but they would all be coming in on the same angle right now.
Yeah.
And we would see each other.
Oh, for sure.
In theory, right?
Yeah.
Especially if we're at their exact same altitude, it's very easy to see.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what our diagram looks like right now. We're out here,
Yeah.
and soon we're going to make a right.
QFA for running on 26, straight departure.
Go run now.
All right. Yeah, we'll do a right turn this way.
Hey, Eugene, how are the winds there that you're using 26?
It is a straight crosswind to 26.
All right, we're just about to establish left downwind 13.
Can use it, you're going to have a descent thing, straight crosswind.
That's going to be exciting.
And you cut the power to get us to 1700?
We're at 1700 now. No, I just kind of cut it a little bit. So you're going to maintain this altitude, and we're going to fly in this direction now.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankee, established left downwind 13.
Wow, there's some good crosswind happening. So see that white water tower there, close to where you live? We're going to point the plane right towards that.
Oh, okay, that's the runway there.
Yeah.
We got to climb a little bit, or are we close enough?
Climb up just a little bit. Just pull back on that stick. I'm going to try to let you do as much of this as possible. I will guarantee you that the landing's going to be off the limits for you to do today, because he told me it's a direct crosswind.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for 15 knots direct crosswind in a small plane, that's very, very difficult.
Not too much fun.
Yeah, very, very difficult. All right, so there's the runway we're going. I don't see him yet. He's climbing off of 26.
Right now?
Yeah, he already climbed off a runway going in that direction. All right, so right around here, we're going to make a left turn. We're going to start kind of pointing towards those orange roof buildings over there.
Okay.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankees, turning left base 13, full stop.
So this is where the pilot has to slow the aircraft down without descending.
Okay. Flaps?
Eventually, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling back on the power. We're going to pull back on the nose, and we need the airspeed to come into the white arc of that airspeed indicator. Once we get into the white arc right there, now I'm going to go flap number 1. We're going to let the nose hang down. Let the nose go down, flap number 2. We need to maintain 65 all the way down, nice and straight this direction. I'm just correcting you there, right there.
Okay.
So just hold that stick.
That's heavy now, huh?
Yeah, this stick.
Because the flaps are on.
That's right. The stick controls your speed.
Yeah.
So we need to slow down. We pull back a little bit like that.
So climb a little bit.
Well, we're just trying to suck the energy out of what we're doing. We want to keep 65 knots.
That's optimum?
That's the ideal speed for landing. Now we're going too fast for flaps, so we got to pull back.
Oh, because the flaps you can't fly that fast with the flaps.
Exactly. Or you can damage the structure of the aircraft.
And what would stall speed be now with the flaps on?
It's still relatively close to where it was. Now we're going to turn final approach here. We're just going to do a left turn.
Edenvale traffic, Juliet Kilo Yankees, turning final 13.
Now I think halfway down this approach, I'm going to probably have to take over.
Yeah, no, anytime.
I want you to feel it though. I want you to get your money's worth.
Oh, don't worry.
I always want to make sure people get a chance to experience it, right?
Sure.
Yeah, feel that drift?
We're getting kicked
All right, so I'll take control.
Okay.
I have control. Look at that drift, huh?
Yeah.
So what I'm doing right here is I'm crabbing the aircraft. I'm hitting my rudder hard.
So that guy in the Cessna, he was way high and then he dropped like a rock.
Exactly.
So that's not...
Well, he was doing that to be courteous to us, to land quick,
okay.
right? He didn't want us to wait forever. No, he knows I'm roasting in this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I know him, so. He was just doing a solid for us. Eventually, and down. Crosswind is a lot more difficult than straight on wind, so.
That's the nose touching?
Yes. Clean up these flaps, don't need those anymore. Beautiful.
You got foot brakes?
I do.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Glad you enjoyed it.